everybody. Welcome back to Earth and Star Spiritual Wellness Center. You know me, I am your friendly neighborhood preacher teacher, Mary, and I have an important word for you today. I want to really talk about free will and kind of deepen into the layers of free will and how it affects our timeline, as well as getting into politics because we're a spiritual space here, and we want to be able to apply this to all people's beliefs, but we do want to apply it to today's times and how we can take this teaching and apply it to the times. Before we do that, I just want to take this moment to reintroduce myself. uh, for any new viewers who are here, or just because I haven't done it in quite a while. When you come here to Earth and Star Spiritual Wellness Center, there's a few different things that you're going to be getting. Here, the company itself, Earth and Star Spiritual Wellness Center, does a few things. Take notes. Go ahead and take notes. We have our teaching videos, such as this. And these are like the sermons. These are your spiritual teachings. And all of the spiritual teachings, though they are based in their core with the value and ethics of love, they are meant to be applied to anyone of any religion, of any spiritual faith and belief, because our beliefs are supposed to be constantly evolving. Otherwise, we become limited. So we don't want to say that this is for Christians or this is for Buddhists or this is for Hindus. We want everybody to be able to apply something. So when I teach, even if I reference certain texts, whether it's a Buddhist text or a Christian text, even if I reference a text, what you're supposed to be getting from it is a downloaded, authentically downloaded spiritual teaching, not something that I've learned somewhere else, but something that was put on my heart specifically for you guys. And if it's for you and you were guided to this channel, then there's something for you to take away from this that will make your life better in some way, either more peaceful or more enlightened, or just lighten your load a little bit. So that's the first thing Earth and Star does, is we have these sermons or these teaching videos. The second thing is we have experiential retreats. And these experiential retreats are meant to connect you to the earth and to your inner self so that you understand them and you a little bit more. That connection really opens the heart space and it grounds us in a world where there's so much going on, in a world where there's constant buzz and humming of traffic and social media. There's a time to disconnect from all of that, to come back to nature, to be supported by other people who want the same things that you want, who believe the same way that you do. And that's simply that we are more than just this human world. We have our upcoming retreat, I Shine, at Highlands in North Carolina, coming up this June 2025. So if that's something you're interested in, head over to our website at earthandstarwellness.com, click the events tab, and that'll give you all the information you need to know about our upcoming retreat. Then we also have one-on-one healing sessions. So you can go also to our website, earthandstarspiritualwellness.com or earthandstarwellness.com. Go ahead and go down to the booking, and there's a couple of us there. There's me, the teacher, and then we have our associate teacher, and you can book one-on-one healing sessions, certification courses. Different things are coming up there for you to check out, and those just are things that enrich your life. They are there to help you heal your past traumas, to get mentorship and counseling, or to enrich your practice, your own spiritual practice, through certification courses and things you can learn, or different healing modalities you can learn to open up your own gifts, to deepen your own practice so that you can help spread the healing in these words to other people. So then let's break it down. Remember, you're taking notes. That's what Earth and Star does. But then we also have different parts of these teachings itself. So within one of these teaching videos, you're going to be getting your spiritual teaching or the sermon, and then you usually get an Eisteddfod with it. Now, an Eisteddfod is something that is true to my Druidic training, and that's basically the belief in expression of soul. We believe here at Earth and Star that it's not just about teachings or training. It's not just about healing. It's not just about love. It's also about how we express as humans. And how we express could be our emotions, our inspirations, our excitements. And it can also have to do with connection with other people. But expression of soul is very, very important because it is a ceremony in itself. You don't normally think of music or poetry as a ceremony, but it is. It is a type of ritual because when you are expressing something that is felt rather than logically known, then you are bringing down energy from higher realms and you are manifesting in this realm. So if I am expressing an emotion, if I am expressing a feeling, even just through abstract art, it is changing and rearranging things in the future or in higher realms. So, expression of soul is extremely important to go hand in hand with spiritual teachings. So, we will have our spiritual teachings, then we usually have some sort of music, poetry, story, something to just lift us up, something to help us think a little bit or to process on a deeper level. And then we also have the community aspect. So these teachings, even though you might only see two in a recording, there's actually three parts of this: your teaching, your Eisted and then your lab group, which is your community aspect of this. When we have a lab group, what this is, it's community support. It's where everyone gets to get together if they choose to and share how they feel. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to give you advice or tell you how to do things differently. Everyone who's there simply gets to listen and support you. And then we go around the circle like that. So everyone gets a chance to share. Everyone gets a chance to get things off of their chest, and that begins to process. We don't realize how powerful it is just to speak out loud sometimes, because just putting our voice into a room creates space for us. And once it's out of our bodies, we have more space inside of us so that we can process or fill with more higher vibrating energies or more positivity. And then we feel more capable of taking on things on our own. So, lab groups are super important. earthandstarwellness.com. We'll have it posted when our upcoming lab groups are. We're going to have one once a month for now. So, be on the lookout for those things. And then, specifically within community support, we have a couple of different ways you can receive that. One through the lab groups, which we just mentioned, but we also have memberships. We have our free memberships. So everyone is welcome to join those free memberships. And even in the free memberships, what you're getting is early notifications of upcoming retreats and events and conferences and things like that. And usually, when you get an early invite to a retreat, there's a discount on it. Our discount this year was $200 on that retreat. So, really be on the lookout for those. Even if you don't want to do a paid membership, a free membership really still offers you a lot of perks. Those lab groups are free. This is a spiritual nonprofit, guys. So we believe that everybody deserves the chance to heal and grow and connect. So early sales and discounts, that community support through lab groups. But then if you want to take that a step further and really contribute to the growth of Earth and Star, you can become a dignitary member, which is a very small fee every month. And when you become a dignitary member, you get your perks really jump up a level. You get 15% off of all healing sessions. And these one-on-one sessions, if you've booked a 2-hour session, that's like a $27 discount. So that's a pretty big deal. That's pretty significant. That's a big deal, especially if you're somebody who really wants to heal a trauma. So you're getting these sessions done multiple times in a year. That's really going to be a way to save. So 15% off of your one-on-one healing sessions. You also get exclusive content because whenever you are a dignitary member, this membership has 3 sections. It has the inner sanctum, which is exclusive content We try to put a short video up exclusive to you guys every Wednesday for Warrior Wednesdays. There's not always new content, but that's why you get 15% off. But we really try to get things up every single Wednesday for exclusive content, exclusive teachings, getting to know us a little bit better. We also have a section called Behind the Blue Door. And Behind the Blue Door is where you get to share your personal stories and testimonies. You can just type those up, send them in to us. We can post them anonymously or just with your first name. But your healing journey, your spiritual journey, your enlightenment, your awakening journey. Or you can just post where you feel like you need support and allow people to give you support through your shared testimony or your shared story, because some of us haven't quite made it to where we're completely healed or where we feel like we've really made it. And that's okay, because life is all about the journey. So sharing your stories helps other people realize that they're not alone in their journey. And then we have something called the Hearth. And this is a place where you get to ask questions. The Hearth really has a Mother Mary vibe. It's the vibe of coming and sitting on your mom's lap when you're a child and feeling so safe that you can ask any question in the world and you know that you'll receive a loving answer, that you'll receive the answer. So when you come to the Hearth section, you get to submit a question that you want to know a little bit more about. And without having to have a one-on-one session, without having to wait for a YouTube video to come out, you can have your question answered anonymously directly inside of that group. So these are really, really big perks. These are great things that are just built for you guys, because that's our goal. We want you guys to feel loved and supported and connected. So this is an important community. This isn't just a space for spiritual teachings. This isn't just a space for one-on-one healings. This isn't just a space for retreats. It's all of those things. It's holistic. We're here about your holistic health. We want to talk to you about your bodies and about health and nutrition and exercise. We want to talk to you about your spirituality. We want to talk to you about your emotions, because that's where the two mix and mingle. We want you to feel like a whole person living a good life. And that takes time. It takes practice. It takes a journey, and it takes a community. And that's what we're here for. Now, me, Mary, as the spiritual teacher here, I am pretty qualified to do this, but really I'm only sharing what's downloaded to me. Straight from source or through dreams. And I had a dream last night, so I'm going to share that with you here in a little bit. But just so that you know my qualifications, which are really just frills in a way that we remember who we are as we go along our journey, because we are already all things when we're born here. I started this journey as a former LPN, really caring for the physical body, and then realizing that there was much more. So I have done trainings and certifications as a Reiki master teacher, as a crystal healer, a meditation guide, a dream interpreter. I am an ordained minister, a shamanic master teacher. I've taken an acupressure master class. I'm a hypnotherapist. I do Akashic records, readings, and healings, quantum healing. I'm a cacao ceremony facilitator and trainer. I've got that course coming up soon. And I'm a bard. I do druidic training with the school in Wales. So the bard is the first level. I'm not to the third level, definitely not. So I'm not quite at the second level, but it's a big, deep training. These are big things. Never stop growing, never stop learning. Always be true to who you are, your calling, and keep going. When you stop learning, you have stopped receiving. And when you stop receiving, you will eventually run out of things to give. So we're always learning, always deepening. Now to get into this word. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being present with us, for being part of this community. And I want to share with you something super important: free will. A while back, this word has been brewing for 2-3 months, honestly. A while back, I started brewing this word around free will and what is actually within our free will as humans. And the only way to really deepen this is to create a visual. I have a visual, guys. So Let's think about free will as a human first. Okay, let's see here. We have our human self, which I think we should look at our human self as like this red line. So here I am, human. Human. Okay. And let's say that this is our destiny or the end of this particular timeline. Now, as a human, there's a lot of people, once they're on their spiritual path, who think, oh, well, I have completely free will to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. But that's not always the case. Yes, you have free will, but let me deepen this, okay? Just bear with me. So we have your human brain and the choices that you make from your human brain. Then we're going to have your higher self. Okay? So that's your human. This is your higher self. Now, your higher self essentially is not your human brain, but it's like your consciousness. You're understanding that you're not human. There's a perspective change that has to happen here. And when that perspective changes, you understand this a little bit more deeply. When we're in our human minds, we think that we are human. And this is where we have complete autonomy, where we are sacred to ourselves, where everyone's separate. You know, I'm me, you are you, and I make my decisions, you make your decisions. I'm not going to take on your problems, you don't take on my problems. Great. Exactly. Wonderful. But then when we get into our higher self, this is where our perspective changes from where I am Mary the human to I am a soul who's not necessarily named Mary, and I'm using this body that I created in order to walk the earth right now and have human experiences. So let's go back a little further. I'm going to need more expo markers. If we're going back a little bit further than this, we're going to talk about source energy for a minute, okay? Let's pretend that this is like a really huge ball of light somewhere. It's not super impressive, but in real life, it's super impressive. Okay, so this is a huge ball of light, and we're going to call this source energy. For those of you unfamiliar with that term, this is God, this is the I am, this is everything that exists. So throughout all of space and time, all of energy is within this one ball. So this is everything that ever could exist, everything that ever will exist, all emotions, all things, like literally everything is within this ball of energy. And this is where we come from. So when we're in that ball of energy, we were like, okay, well, you know, I'm everything all at once. And I decide that I want to experience that. So what did source energy do? Source energy created everything. All this energy came out of this big ball and decided, I'm going to create galaxies and planets and people, animals, plants, rocks, all things. And I want to have certain experiences as my energy moves through life. What is life? Time. Life is time, because when you are in this ball, time does not exist. It's in a ball. All things that ever could, ever will, ever did happen is in this ball of energy. It's only when it breaks out of this energy that it becomes a life. So this ball of energy broke out, went to different dimensional spaces according to its density, according to its vibration. And within those dimensions, we have certain kinds of life. Here in the third dimension, we have life that looks like this, that looks like humans and plants and animals, which is why people who believe in other dimensional beings or aliens or things like that, it's so hard for us to grasp because we don't technically see those things with these eyes usually on in this dimension because they're not vibrating in this dimension. So, third dimension is where we are. So, when we broke out of source energy, we were all one thing. We were all one thing, one ball of energy. And we broke out as individuals, moving through people. And this is what a soul is. A soul is simply a piece of energy from the whole inside of a human body having an experience. So the human thinks to itself, well, I'm me having my own experiences, but the higher self is the gift of consciousness that remembers the source. So this is what's connecting us to source. Our higher self is what says, I'm not this body. I am source energy in this body because I want to experience myself. I want to experience all aspects of myself. I want to experience what I'm capable of. I want to experience my power. I want to experience what my energy does and how it reacts to the third dimension. And how it reacts to the third dimension or how it vibrates within the third dimension is emotion. We get different emotion from different experiences. This is like, think of like a science thing. Think of an experiment where there's certain stimuli and then there's certain reactions. So source energy is experiencing what it's like to be in the third dimension. Now, let me use green. In order for us to have predestined certain experiences in each life, because we actually chose that when we were our higher selves. Before we incarnated, our higher self set up this whole life and said, these are the things I want to experience. These are the people I want to experience with. These are the people that will help me get to where I want to go. These are the people who are going to create traumatic events so that I eventually stand up for myself or so that I have certain experiences. You might think that an experience you've set up for yourself is, oh, I want to experience being rich. I want to experience being peaceful. I want to experience being joyful. Remember, we're experiencing everything. We're here to feel it all. So that means that we're going to experience negative things along with the positive things. I use air quotes because energy is not positive or negative. It's all neutral. It's only how we perceive it that makes it feel positive or negative. So what we did is we put something in place to ensure that we get through this timeline in the way that we set up for ourselves. And this is what I call a light code. A light code is a blueprint on your energy field that's filled with time-sensitive information. That time-sensitive information is your gifts, your passions, the things you're attracted to, your authentic personality, not your personality because of this specific life, but there's aspects of you that just don't go away. You know, you might really be drawn to the ocean, and that could be a time sensitive light code because you're meant to do something with the element of water in this life, or it could be because you have a water gift through all of your lives. Oh yeah, guess what? Now we're not just looking at one timeline, we're looking at an accumulative timeline. We're looking at the beginning of time when you first broke out of source through every single life you've ever lived, all the way to the end, which is actually here, where you're going to be going back to source energy. So while this might be the timeline you're on now in this human experience, this is eventually where you're going to go. This here is just one life of all the lives you're going to live before you end up back at source energy. So our blueprints or our light codes help us not just in this life, but through the accumulation of all of our lives. So we have an even higher perspective now where we have to think not just about this life, but about all of them. because there's going to be things that you don't accomplish in this life. There's going to be things you don't have to experience in this life. And that's what karma's for, darling. I've run out of different colored expos. I have this blue one, but I already have a blue. I've run out of different color expos, so I'm going to reuse. I'll reuse the blue because I really like the blue. Okay. Think of your karmic journey. Karma is not tit for tat the way a lot of people think. Karma is more of everything that you want to experience from all perspectives. So in one life, you might be the victim of something here, right? So if you're the victim of something, that means eventually, according to your karmic journey, you are also eventually going to be the perpetrator or the rescuer or a bystander. There's lots of different perspectives of one thing. So if you're a victim here, either eventually later in your life or in a different life, you will eventually be the perpetrator. Okay? So you can run down the rabbit hole of that one however you want to, but this is karma. And karma just sets us up to have all of the different experiences from different perspectives. So the same experience from different perspectives, and then all of the experiences over time. Still with me? Good. Still with me. Now, how does free will fit into this? If I knew when I first incarnated that I was going to have all of these lives and experience every single thing possible and set it all up, and I also set up this life, if everything is preordained, where does free will fit in? Now, on one hand, this could be very calming. This could be very settling for you. It really is for me. To think that I preordained everything and set up all of my steps. I mean, think about this. Astrology, when we decided to incarnate into every particular life, we not only built the body that we thought we would need to reach the most people in an appropriate way, according to our destiny and our gifts, we also aligned and we waited for the perfect time and aligned all the stars and planets in the sky to where their gravitational pull, magnetism, and vibration would create within our bodies the exact thing that we needed to do the things we needed to do. This is amazing. We're like master planners. That God spark in us, master planners. Master planners. I'm a master. I created my body and my life and where I'm going with all of this. And sometimes I cry about it, but you know what? It's great. Anyways, moving on. So that gives me release and relief from pressure, knowing that I can't miss my destiny, that I've already set everything up for myself. I've if we're thinking of time from this perspective, anything I'm meant to do, I've already done. So that really gives me a lot of relief because I feel like there's a lot to do. And sometimes that can be overwhelming, it can be a burden. But knowing that I'm not going to fail, that I'm always going to succeed, that is a relief for me. But some people don't like that. They really want the free will piece, and you do have it. Free will does exist even here, even at the human. Of course, we have free will of source. Of course, we have free will as our higher selves because these are our planning parts of ourselves. Stop looking at God as an outside part of you that plans something for you that you have no control of. Same with your guides. Your guides, if we're here, remember that your guides are simply aspects of you and your consciousness. Because this source is like a diamond with millions and trillions and gazillions and infinity little facets and faces. Your guides are part of you. So your guidance, your calling, none of this is an outside source controlling you or telling you what to do. It's an aspect of you setting you up for what you want. Okay? But this little human right here is like, but I want free will. I want to like make all of my own choices. And if I don't want to do that, then I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, honey, that's fine. So the human, there's contingencies that have been put in place. Okay. So like our higher self, like baby proofed the entire room of your life. You know, they put little things in the outlets so you can't stick your stupid fingers in them. They put stuff on the corners so you can't knock your head on them and die. You know, there's contingencies put into place so that you reach what you want to reach while still doing it your way. That's right, your way. And this is what the difference between destiny and fate is. Okay? Fate is where you always reach the place. Oh, goodness. Fate is where you always reach the place you were meant to reach without ever remembering your higher self. That's just fate. That's going through life, that's going through the motions and just getting it done. A lot of the time when we're in fate mode, when we make free will decisions, we're reacting from a wounded space because we don't remember our higher self. We don't really co create with it. We just kind of move through life. So when bad things happen, we react with fear or sadness or rejection or abandonment. But eventually, we kind of end up where we need to go, but we might feel powerless in that because we're reacting from powerless spaces. What we want is to reach this endpoint with destiny. And destiny is simply where we live our life reacting from alignment with our higher self. It's where we remember our higher self. We remember our God spark and our source within, and we work with that aspect of ourselves to reach this end goal. Okay? That's how you co-create. You hear all the time in spiritual communities, co-creation, co-creation. You're like, what the F is co-creation? Because I don't feel like I'm co-creating anything. I feel like I'm being told what to do, and then I'm either supposed to do it, or I don't know how to do it, or, you know, co-creation is simply the memory and the realization that you're more, that you're not human. You're simply having this human experience, but that you are all powerful and that you can literally do anything you want to do. Now, this is like what we call a trajectory. Okay? Let's look at our personal timeline as if it were a trajectory. So if you're coming here, you have this whole trajectory to make any decision you want. Free will, okay? You can learn this thing or you cannot learn this thing. You can go with this person or you cannot go with this person. You get to make all of your free will choices. And it's up to you how your trajectory goes. Your trajectory could look like this and then eventually come here and then come there. Your trajectory could be like a lot of us. You know, we get to do this because this is the point of being human. This trajectory, this free will is the whole point. We want to have these certain experiences that are preordained throughout our timeline, but we want to learn and grow and journey through those experiences. We want to learn how to accept those experiences, how to work through them, how to feel them in our own way as individuals. That's the freaking point of coming into the third dimension. So, all of this is within your free will. And if there's this particular event that you keep experiencing over and over and over again, it's possible that there is something, an old wound that you haven't healed, so a cycle that's not yet been broken, or it could simply be that you have on your timeline a preordained space to meet God, your higher self, so that you can co-create. And for some reason, all of your free will choices are just bringing you everywhere except here. And so you keep repeating it and keep making your free will choices until you simply decide to come into co-creation, to come into what you've set up for yourself and love that and accept that and move forward with that. So you have free will here, you have free will here, you have free will here, you have free will everywhere in the world, and it's all a trajectory of time and space. Now, I'm not super going to get into timeline, but your destiny is never missed. This is a light code journey. So you get to release all of your suffering and your worry. You get to release how you don't think you're good enough. You get to release all lack of self-trust. You get to release your fear of disappearing. Oh, someone out there's got a fear of disappearing, a fear of not being seen, death, completion of the path. There's a fear that there's more to do, but it's not going to be done in this life. You have a very good memory, darling. You are in co-creation. So that releases you from that fear also, because this isn't the end. Remember, that's only here. All of this life is just here. And you have so many more. It's just going to get better and better and better for you, because the more you experience, the more mature your energy is going to be as you go through. So even if you're in this space, per se, after having lived so many lives, even when you get down to this last life up here, before you go back into source, you might still incarnate having very normal experiences, having to deal with rejections and abandonments and things like that. But your energy, your soul is so mature because it's been through lifetimes of this crap. So by the time it gets here and you decide to get into co-creation and meet your higher self, you're going to be unstoppable, super powerful. This is an amazing journey for you. So when we're looking at all of this, there's a couple of words that came to me, okay? This is straight from source, right? Source says, what I'm meant to do, I've already done. Write that down. What I'm meant to do, I have already done. Source says, God is me. I've set these tests up for myself. I have set these tests up for myself. Sometimes we sit there and we think to ourselves, oh, God's testing me today. Woo, is God testing me today? I want you to remember that when tests come to you, it's because you have matured, you've leveled up, and your higher self wants to present you with this same cycle again so that you have the free will of saying, I'm better than this now. I know better than this now. I'm more powerful than this now. This doesn't belong in my life anymore. This is where these tests are where your higher self has set up your trajectory for your free will. And you get to make that choice whether to experience that same cycle again or to break free from it and live your more empowered, more authentic self. Number 3, Spirit says, I can handle this. I can handle this. Look, there is a lot to handle, especially nowadays. Remember, I said I don't want to get political. I do want to get spiritual. And what we've got to do is there's a lot to deal with. The first thing we have to do, and you've heard me say it before, we have to get out of our fear state and get into our love state. That doesn't mean don't take action. You know, we have spiritual people who are super zen and, you know, we're really looking at things from our higher self. And from this perspective of the higher self, everything is fine, everything's happening as it's meant to happen, so we can have peace about the things that are happening. But once we have peace, the human is meant to do something about it. Remember, we have that trajectory, that free will. We don't simply just let everything happen simply because we're spiritual. Our spirituality is what gives us a leg up and what we're trying to do. Because if we make choices or react out of fear, we are misstepping all over that trajectory. Remember that zoop, 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 zoop line? You need to see it again? Zoop, 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 zoop. That's what you're doing when you're reacting and making choices out of fear or out of powerlessness or out of rejection or out of abandonment. But when we take the shift and we get into our love self, into our God self, into our empowered self, then we can fight, we can protest, we can advocate, we can teach, we can do everything that we're meant to do from that big God state. And it will be effective. It'll be like the arrow hitting the target with a straight line. That's more what I'd like to do. I'd like a straight trajectory just so I don't have to keep coming back in circles and up and down. It just feels exhausting energetically. It's fine if I choose to do it that way. It's fine if I choose to live my life that way. But if I would like a more peaceful life, if I would like a life where I can save a little bit more of my energy, I want to be that straight arrow. I want to get into my spiritual peace self. So, of course, there's going to be a few Bible verses that we have here to back that up. First off, I want to go back to the Garden of Gethsemane. Gethsemane. You know what I'm saying. Words. Where's my water? Back here, we have Jesus about to be killed, right? About to die in a terrible, horrible way. Now, apply this to your spiritual teaching however you want to, remembering that you can take it as a story, you can take it as truth, fact, whatever you want to do, but there is a reason we're doing this. Jesus, as the soul that we look to, the prophet that we look to, who has all knowing of everything, who was able to perform healing miracles with his faith, he had a troubled spirit. He was pained at his upcoming death and torture. He was unhappy. He had a troubled heart. He was in fear and despair. But when he spoke to his disciples and decided to teach them, he said, I give you rest. I give you quiet. I give you love. I give you stillness in your heart. Jesus, even if we don't look at him as a real person, looking at Jesus as an archetypal energy, that frequency is pure love and connection. So when we come into connection with the archetype of love and connection, no matter what is happening out in the world, we don't have to have a troubled spirit. We don't have to be in fear. We can have stillness in our hearts. We can be at rest and then take appropriate action as needed to move forward because we're in an empowered state to be able to do so. So there, I'm kind of looking at John 14:27. I leave you my peace. I give to you, not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. If you loved me, you rejoice. Okay, love, joy, fear, trouble. And referencing the world, this is the third dimension. These are things that happen here. There's always things that happen because remember, we're on a karmic cycle. That means there's always going to be a victim. There's always going to be a bad guy. There's always going to be someone who steps in to rescue. This is how this world works. You have to decide from your free will what part you're playing and how you're going to play it. Even if you think that you're stepping in as the rescuer, you will be ineffective until you get out of your fear and into your love, into your empowered state. Okay, worrying is a waste of your energy and it's not going to be effective. Next, we have 1 Corinthians 10:13. Now, in 1 Corinthians 10:13, it's become kind of a popular teaching that we are told that God's never going to give us more than we can handle. When in reality, the original translation doesn't actually say that. The original translation says, we're not alone in our struggle. Write that down. You're not alone in your struggle. This, you can take it on multiple levels. You're not the only human experiencing things that humans experience, number one. So there is a support system out there if you allow yourself to reach out to it. Number two with this is you're not just a human. You're your higher self. You're your guides, your God, your source energy, your God spark inside. You are not alone in what you're going through. Number two, you are perfectly capable of the test that you've set up for yourself. Remember, you set this test up for yourself because you've leveled up, you've moved beyond, and now it's your free will choice whether or not you continue to engage in the past behaviors or whether you've stepped into your empowerment and love space and you're making different choices now. Number three, what this verse actually says is there will be an end. There will be a solution to your test. The solution will be given. A lot of what causes fear and worry is this thought that this is never going to end, that this thing's going to keep happening over and over and over and over again. But remember your test, and it's eventually going to end. There's going to be a solution. That's what this verse says. There's going to be a solution. Write that down. There is going to be a solution. Whether you're part of the solution or not doesn't matter. There will be a solution. But everyone plays a part. Okay. Not to backpedal into that, but everyone does play a part. Whether you directly feel like you're part of that solution or not, you are if you are consciously thinking of the problem. Quantum physics, guys, all thoughts create a ripple of energy because all we are is energy. So if you have a thought about a particular world problem, and then you come into your empowerment space, you come into your love space, you are impacting every single person who is enduring that problem, eventually creating that ripple, eventually creating the solution. It takes the village, guys. This is your village. The world is your village, okay? Nobody is separate. The world is your village. I want to tell you about my dream for just a moment. Trigger warning. Fast forward if you don't want to be triggered. But I love those of you who do want to be triggered. I love those who don't. But anyways, so in my dream last night, I dreamed that I was looking at this house and it looked like a mobile home that had like the wooden front porch and steps coming down. And there was a 7-year-old boy who lived in that home, and he had been essayed by his stepfather, mom's boyfriend, whoever this guy is that I'm seeing in the doorway, and unalived, and was hidden under the front porch. Now, I was watching this scene while also feeling the little boy's spirit with me. And I was struggling to come out of this dream. I wanted out because the emotions were huge, because all I could think of was my child, who's that same age. But the spirit kept saying, I'm not your child. I'm not your child, like trying to reassure me that I didn't need to be afraid of what was happening. but I was processing such heavy emotions and struggling to get out of this dream. And when I finally did get out of the dream, I was shaking and I realized that I've had this dream before. This is the second time I've had that dream. And what was coming of this as I sat with it, as I processed it, is I realized that we have work to do. Our work isn't to stop terrible things from happening because, like I said, terrible things just happen. What we can do as empaths, as healers, is help transmute those energies into something bigger, into something higher, in order to not just help the collective and our trajectory, but to help the individuals dealing with those problems. Okay. For instance, I realized through the heaviness I was feeling as I called in angels and thought that this child needed healing and needed to get across the veil, I realized that that child was processing what happened to him in that particular life. And for whatever reason, he called out to me to help him process it because he was not meant to bear that emotional load alone. And he didn't have to because he's not alone in his struggle. Okay. Empaths, I'm talking to you because I'm tired of you guys saying, I don't want to feel this anymore. I don't want to pick up other people's stuff. Why do you think you're an empath? Why do you think you have that gift, honey? You have that gift to help people. So stop trying to act like it's just for you and nobody else deserves any of it. Okay. What was happening? Think of your chakras. Okay, we have 7 main basic chakras, and their goal is to act as filters. They process energy. And depending on which chakra that energy hits, depends on what emotion you feel out of it, your perspective of it, those sorts of things. So, when that spirit came to me because he was processing the pain and the terror that he went through in life, he was sharing that load with me. And my chakras and my filters were helping him process that. So I was feeling his pain. I was processing his heaviness for him. And we did it together. It took a few hours. The shaking eventually stopped for me. It was heavy, heavy energy. We called in angel guides. We had help. But we did it successfully because we weren't alone in our struggle. I shared my empathic gift with him. And this is what you can do too, when it's your free will to do so. You don't always have to do this. Like I said, free will is a thing, but there's something about our compassion that once we're in our power state, we're not powerless about the people that we feel for. If you feel heavy emotion because of things happening to certain groups of people in the world, but you feel powerless to change it, to stop it, to end it, use your empath gift to help process it. Process it for a person, process it for a group of persons so that you're lifting their heaviness and they can move on more unburdened and make the choices that they need to make to better their lives so that they can become more empowered because they're so burdened. This is how we work together. And we do it in a loving way, in a compassionate way, in a way that says, I want to do this for people when they need it. The last verse I'm going to leave you with today is Philippians 4:13. Now, Philippians 4:13, let me see, what does that one say? Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things in God who strengthens me. Of course, I downloaded that one. I can do all things through my God self, through my God spark, through source energy. And source energy is all of us. Remember, once we're out of our human perspectives, all of you are part of me and I'm part of you because we're all from that source. While I have an individual soul, my consciousness and my original energy comes from one with you. And when my God spark guides me, it protects me, it gives me strength. And when that happens, I know that I am the I am. Welcome to your iStep VOD. Sing along, play along, or just feel what emotions come up for you. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone down narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs that voices never shared. And no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And this sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sounds of silence. Here's a good old Bob Dylan, since I haven't done him in a while. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove before they're allowed to be free. And how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And right there we do like a little harmonica. I don't play harmonica. And how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? And how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Be on the lookout at www.earthandstarwellness.com for our next upcoming lab group. Now that you've had your teachings, you've had your ISTHFOD, it's time for your community support. So go ahead and tap into that. Much love.